Economist at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Lord Mensah, says government's decision to pay 25.5% interest on the 3-year bond issued will increase government's cost of borrowing and shoot up interest rates. He's, however, asking government to focus on directing funds generated from the domestic bond to developmental projects. Issued a 3-year bond of 209 million Ghana cedis Thursday, April 24, after receiving 419 million Ghana cedis worth of bids from investors. Government has subsequently decided to pay 25.5% interest on the bond issued, the highest rate in recent times after borrowing at around 23% for a similar bond issued in February this year. Analysts, however, say the move could have implications on interest rates on borrowing and treasury bill rates.
Commercial bank has to decide on whether they're going to be comfortable with the consumer loans, okay, which is day-to-day loans that we're going to take, and then also they have to decide whether they'll be comfortable with the government loans. It all boils down to maturity as well. I mean, if it's consumer loan is going for maybe 3 years and bonds are also going for 3 years, definitely we expect that being comfortable with the government, because in the worst case scenario the government can print money, right? So the banks will be ready to push money to the government, you know, rather than individuals. And that in effect, if they want to borrow to individuals or lend money to individuals, what they're going to do is that they're going to give them some, there should be kind of should I say premium, okay, that will move them to the individual where they think their risk level is going to be high. And at the end of the day, they will push interest rates up.
He also asked government to use the fund generated from the bond for the intended purpose and judiciously to reduce interest rates.
If you issue 300 million, the project has to, if it's a project you've taken with already issuing debt, the project is ongoing, right? Then debt has matured. You need to satisfy your debtors. And then after that, the difference can be used to take care of the project as it's going on. If you're talking about infrastructure development, it boils down, come back to feedback into the economy. So if you've taken the loan for this purpose or purpose A or B, it has to be taken care of. And definitely once you improve infrastructures, it will definitely end up, you know, feeding back into the economy.
Dr. Lord Mensah also joined calls for government to work on regaining investors' confidence in the economy. Well, although brokers have expressed worry over the declining returns of the stock market, a development they attribute to the consistent fall in the value of the cedi coupled with rising inflation, Deputy Managing Director of the local board, Epo Afezi, says there is no cause for alarm. He believes the current situation is the normal trend for markets.
Sometimes you need to look at markets holistically. Markets don't move in one direction. Markets move up and down. Last year the market went up by 78%. Investors made fantastic gains in some companies as much as 200%. Don't expect the share price to keep on moving, no matter what happens to the company's results. There are investors who would like to cash out. After making 200%, 100%, you like to sell and take some gains. Those who want to buy would like to buy it cheap. So they'll make sure the price comes down and they'll buy. So it's a normal trend for markets. Go back to our history. 2008 was one of our best years. 2009, the market came down, mainly as a result of investors cashing out. At the same time, the world economic environment was not good. And we are experiencing a similar environment now. Look at the history of Ghana, the economic history of Ghana. We shall overcome. The politicians, policymakers are making all the efforts to make sure that the economy is stabilized. So certainly the economy will be stabilized. And if I were to be, an investor, this is the time to buy.
Away from the stock markets, the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, in collaboration with Ghana Revenue Authority and the German International Cooperation for Development, has organized a one-day forum on pre-budget tax for stakeholders in the Eastern region. The forum is to solicit the taxpayers' views as an input into the national budget for consideration.
The forum was to enable various stakeholders who are taxpayers in the region to express their views so that when the national budget is being prepared, those views will be considered. It is also an opportunity for taxpayers to collectively discuss what they think should be the fiscal policies in the government's budget. Assistant Commissioner of Ghana Revenue Authority Edward Dramina explained to participants what is required of the taxpayer by law as far as filing of tax returns and payment of tax is concerned.
You don't pay tax at your own convenience. You pay tax on due dates. So specific dates have been stated that if you earn this, if you are paying this tax, pay it on these dates. If you are paying this tax, pay it on these dates. If you don't pay on due dates, as was explained earlier, then you will distort government budget, because government has budgeted to get certain revenue at certain point in time.
One participant, Raymond Tete, a contractor, shared how the contractors are suffering to withholding tax.
We know we are paying 5% tax to the government or Ghana Revenue Authority, but we contractors, sometimes when we are doing the tendering, we have to buy materials, then pay back national health insurance and tax on those things. After everything, when we went to Ghana Revenue Authority, they are taking DAYE, director's fee, withholding taxes, and all those things are going against we the contractors. So sometimes you may see some of the contractors who have been doing short works. All these things affect us. That's why we are appealing to the government to see the issues and maybe if they can consider us on these things.
Haruna Yusuf Wompone's report from the Eastern region.
Well, that's how we end the business news. My name is Abigail Adumakwinchi.